Hey guys, I'm here with Travis and Ashley, and they are the owners, operators, founders of ATAC, and they both have just amazing resumes. I'd like to start with you, Ashley, if you could tell the people about your background.
So I joined the military, enlisted back in '94, and I spent 20 years in. I loved every minute of it. I was originally a signal NCO, and I went through officer school, and then I became a signal officer. Yet I always worked in the Special Operations Command, and then I branch transferred to psychological operations.
And you've been all over the world.
Yes. My last and most rewarding thing I did in the Army was I deployed to Afghanistan, and I was the CST program manager. So I got to travel all over Afghanistan, and I got to see a lot.
And from what I understand about the program you did in Afghanistan, it was because there's a segregation there between men and women, and U.S. male soldiers were not able to get access for intelligence. So we had female soldiers.
Right. So the female soldiers, they were able to talk to the female Afghans, and that definitely aided us in our mission there.
Well, Mr. Travis, tell us about you.
So I spent 26 years in the military. I started out enlisted in the infantry and went into the special forces, and then met Ashley in officer candidate school around 2000. We both branched as signal officers, and then as she went into the psychological operations as a captain, I went back into the special forces. I started off in 3rd Special Forces Group and working in Africa, and then as an officer in 7th Special Forces Group working in Central and South America, where I also had a chance to be a team leader in Afghanistan for multiple rotations. And we had just an amazing time, and we took someone like what Ashley was saying, the CSTs or the cultural support teams, was a special operations initiative to break into the intelligence underground network of the Taliban and ISIS. And it was an amazing program, and it was building women up in the Special Operations Command to go out and do these mission sets. And so that's kind of the nexus for ATAC here, is why we really look at training women specifically, but also bring in men as well. And they find it very positive and uplifting in the 360-degree environment we show here, and using suppressed firearms. But yeah, that was the crux of my military experience.
All right, yeah, and the training here is really interesting. It reminded me a lot of training that we did in the military, except that this is much more advanced than anything I did. I was not an officer. I was in the infantry, enlisted, but yeah, the training reminded me a lot of the military. They used it's called the crawl, walk, run approach.
And also prevents me from getting lower and efficiently moving, versus I can move much better like this, right? Having 2 hands on the gun also does this, or not using the hand that was against this wall to come in, because if I use this arm, I can get around a little bit quicker, or I can get around quicker than just 2 hands on it. But what I'm going to start doing is opening my chest up. And if I have 2 hands on the gun and I turn toward the target, see what it's doing to my chest? It's making a bigger target versus right here. So I'm making a bigger target for the person as I put both hands on the guns to try to shoot at them.
They start out with a very basic, and then you go a little bit faster, and then you go faster still as you are practicing and rehearsing your skills. And they use a lot of repetition. You go through how many times? 75 rooms we cleared.
75 rooms.
Yeah. So he taught me how to clear a room. The first time it took maybe 45 minutes to teach me how to do it, and then he made me do it 75 times.
90% of the training today will be in the northern building we call the ant farm. You may have familiarity with that terminology in the military. American military is called the ant farm when students are taught close quarter battle, room clearing. The instructors are on top, and what happens is when they flood into the room, they look like ants because they're learning the procedures, so it's called an ant farm.
Does this hat make me look fat?
Does this rhyme?
And the other funny thing was, I've seen a lot of movies where they hold the weapon gangster style, and I was wondering if that was like something new that's come about since I left the military. But apparently, according to Travis, holding the weapon gangster style while running made the most sense, because rotating your wrist and holding the weapon sort of sideways kept it more stable while you were moving. And that made a lot more sense. He had
Good. Nice.
So I've only got 2 rounds. I mean, should I change the mag every time?
Yeah,
Okay.
every time. It shows you how much time you actually have in a room.
Yep.
You see how long it takes to engage four rounds per target.
Yep.
So when we go back and only do 2 rounds, you're going to see how quick of the time you have.
Okay. Let's run through one time holding it normally, one time holding it sideways, and it made a lot of sense holding it sideways. But once you've done that, then suddenly you're like, man, I can shoot accurately from any direction, from any position. The other thing was the targets. Once we got into the maze was a lot like being in a house. There were doors you had to clear. You had to know how to open the door properly, how to go in properly, how to check the corners of the room for bad guys. There were 3-dimensional targets that looked like people. Some of them were holding weapons. Some of them were holding cell phones because those were the hostages, right? So you have to condition your brain not to shoot everybody that's in the room. You have to learn to very quickly make a decision who's a bad guy, who's a good guy, and shoot the bad guys. It's called a Ruger Mark IV. It's 22 caliber, and it's got a silencer on it. The reason why it has a silencer is because that way we don't have to wear hearing protection while we're practicing, and then the instructors can talk to us, and I think that's very clever. However, he believes, and I tend to agree now, that 22 is a really good weapon for self-defense because you can shoot a lot more accurately than you can with a high caliber weapon, especially for normal people who don't practice all the time. I think it's a good weapon in that respect. The laser sight is amazing because as soon as you put it on something, you can just pull the trigger and you know it's going to hit it. And the other thing is, we've been practicing all day, clearing rooms and all different drills. We've shot hundreds of rounds. With 22, you just pick it up and you shoot. Bam, 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 bam. And there's no recoil. Your second shot is equally as accurate as the third shot. Your wrist isn't tired, if you had to shoot like 100 rounds or 20 rounds or 10 rounds, right? For a lot of people, shooting 10 rounds of 357 Magnum would actually be kind of painful. And again, for self-defense, you're thinking of, well, you have this gun, or let's say home defense, you have this gun in your house, and you want every member of the family to be trained in handling a weapon, knowing how to defend themselves, so that if the bad guys come in, I think something like 20% of burglaries are actually home invasions. In other words, a family is home when the bad guys come in, and the first thing they're going to do is incapacitate the father, and then if there's big sons, they're going to incapacitate them first. And then unfortunately, we know what's probably going to happen, with the female members of the family, right? But the first thing bad guys usually do is try and incapacitate the father and the sons because they pose the biggest threat. Okay. Oh, that's not a weapon. That's a cell phone.
Keep going, you're good.
Okay.
Good.
Was that supposed to be a civilian that I killed?
No, that's just a mannequin. There's no light.
But I'm supposed to shoot all the mannequins or no?
Yeah, just the ones that have weapons in their hands.
Oh yeah, she's got a cell phone.
Right.
I killed her. Oh man. Oh.
Good.
But if everybody in the family knows how to handle the gun, even a child or the mom or the sister, whoever, could like run down the hallway, grab the gun, and fire effectively at bad guys if it's a 22, because anybody could pick it up and fire it, and anybody could fire effectively, particularly with the laser sight. So I really do like the idea of using the 22 with the laser sight for self-defense. And the other thing is that if you're firing inside your house at bad guys, if you miss and it goes through the wall, there's less chance of it going through the wall and killing, your grandmother or your family member that's in the other room, because it's a 22. So I was really sold. By the end of the day, I was really sold on the idea of using a 22 with a laser sight for self-defense, particularly for a family. Of course, it would be better to get lots of training and to keep going back to training, or take the whole family back to training. And you should do that, and I think that's good advice. But not everybody wants shooting to be their hobby. I don't particularly like guns, right? I don't particularly like guns. I don't, we owned a lot of guns when I was growing up. I just have one now. And I don't really like guns, and I don't like going to the range and shooting, so it's not something I really enjoy. But I could see myself going 3 or 4 times a year for a training like this, just to tune up the skills. And if you took your whole family there a few times a year, do gun safety training, of course, you have to have first, and then you take these kind of self-defense classes and do it a few times a year, so that every member of the family is comfortable with loading, reloading, getting a sight picture, firing, and all of this. So I think that definitely sold on this type of training. I think it's really good for the family, and 22 made a lot of sense to me.
There you go. Good job.
Okay. All right, I'm out of ammo. Gonna clear this with my hands. Hey! Hey! Hey!
There you go. He said that.
All right.
Oh, beautiful. Yeah, there you go.
Hey everybody, Dr. Antonio Graceffo, the Brooklyn Monk. I have completed a full day of training here at ATAC, and it has been amazing. I personally shot, 5,000 rounds?
At least 500.
Yeah, okay, 500, 5,000. It's just a little, I'm an economist, it depends how you look at it. No, but seriously, actually I am kind of amazed at the amount of stuff we were able to learn with so few rounds. That's another thing.
Absolutely.
I really would have thought you'd come in and you'd have to shoot thousands of rounds. Man, this morning, I did not know how to shoot a pistol left-handed. I didn't know how to use a laser. I didn't know any of the skills you were teaching. And then now it's evening, and here I am. I mean, I got it. I'm an expert. In fact, I'm going to just go open my own school over there. No, but why don't you tell the folks at home, Travis, what did I learn today?
Sure.
Because I don't know.
So different from most firearms training courses in America, we like to change the paradigm. In other words, where 99% of American firearms training is looking at just shooting the target, which is just like military and police, we didn't think that was appropriate for civilians who don't have body armor, extra ammunition, arm backup, medical backup, or qualified immunity, right? So our mantra out here, or our methodology that we teach, is the primary objective is not to shoot the threat, but rather not to be shot. You can't do them both. So if your primary objective is to get home and not be a hero, come out here and see us. That's what we're going to focus on doing. We really incorporate arm judgment, target identification. We don't use paper targets. We use fully life-size clothed target mannequins that give you that 3D approach. It's one thing to see a paper target with a gun. It's another one to see a mannequin in a 3D perspective with a firearm or a cell phone in his hand.
All right. And Ashley, I would like to have your advice for the folks at home, particularly ladies at home.
Sure.
They're worried about self-defense, defending their homes. What kind of advice might you give them?
So any of the ladies out there watching, I would strongly recommend to join a local chapter, whether it's the Well-Armed Women or a Girl and a Gun. You find some other ladies that share the same concerns about what to do if you're out in public or you're defending your home. And with the way that things are going now in the U.S., there is a concern. I would recommend joining that. As Travis said, you can look us up. We are here. We work to all levels. You don't have to be an expert. We just ask that you come as you are. We take care of everything.
All right. And a lady with a gun is just as deadly as a man with a gun. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Maybe even more deadlier.
Maybe more deadly. Yeah, especially if you upset
And
her.
you'll have a good time out here.
Yeah, no, it was awesome. All right. Thank you, guys. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. All right, that's it for this episode of Martial Arts Odyssey. I am Dr. Antonio Graceffo. Remember, stay in the gym, do your sets, do your reps, do your road work, and please say a prayer for the people of Burma.